Hey everybody, Wednesday Live. It's been 2 weeks. We're on a pattern here. I think we do one every 2 weeks. Yeah. Nobody's responding. It's fine.
Yeah, we're doing our best.
We do our best. Today's a good one, and it's a topic that I think it's been a hot topic in the guitar world for years. I remember doing an LA Amp show, and I went into the Kemper room, and I saw this witchcraft-looking space machine, and these guys were telling me this sounds as good as the amp. And today we're going to get to the bottom of why these Kemper devices probably suck.
Dislike, unsub.
Yeah, dislike right now, unsub, unsubscribe, because we're going here.
Unhit the
go.
bell icon.
Yeah, unhit it twice.
Mm-hmm. Remove YouTube from your mobile device.
So to do this, I am a newbie. Let's go to the Kemper cam. We have a Kemper cam here. This is a Kemper. That's my mask. That's the Kemper. And I love how it's on an electronic fundamentals book. I don't know if that was planned. This is what I'm going to play through the day against my will. And then we have a floor controller over here at our guest table. And it's the Tone Junkie himself, HW. How are you today?
Well, hello there.
You're my professional. I have brought you in to help my stupidity on the subject of Kemper.
Well, I'll use the term loosely. I guess I am a Kemper professional.
I think you are.
But no, man, I'm excited to be here, and so thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about the Kemper. Because everybody knows it sucks, but we're just lying about it, right?
Yeah.
We're all just lying.
We're going to get to the bottom of this. It's like there's some obvious things here. Let's get them out of the way up front. The obvious thing is this is some form of evolution for the guitar. So when I talk a lot about the history of guitar, writing stuff, and I have this ongoing article at guitar.com. We started in 500 BC. 5,000. We started way back in the history. And so guitar is an evolving instrument. And one thing that I really like in the narrative of the guitar is that things aren't so much invented. They just evolve. Like we have this kind of Hollywood idea that these great people invent things, and they do. But technology causes doors to walk through. And DSP's gotten a lot better. And so here we are, 2021, and the Kempers are in front of us. They've been around for a while.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of amazing. We have Quad Cortex has come out. We have, for me, I think the DSP stuff got good with Line 6. There's the Marcus Rowell crew, George Trips. That's 99, 2000. That's 21 years ago.
Wow.
From the DL4, October 99. And I think this is a very notable evolution to cover that I'm ignorant of. That's why I drug you out here to Kansas City. I found out about you because of Addison. So what's your Kemper journey?
I owned a Kemper for a little while. I was telling HW earlier, I had one, and I was only playing his profile of the amp that I owned, and so I ended up selling it to get an aux box so I could use my actual amp for it. But,
so you own like a little Spitfire.
Yes, right.
And
yep.
you had a Kemper and his profile.
Yep, exactly.
And you were like,
right.
So explain that. Like,
yeah.
So I need to digest.
Okay.
Like, it's the same to you? Like
it really did the same thing for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that there was a part of me, I'll admit, which I borrowed yours not too long ago. My amp was in the shop, which is, a reason why Kempers are awesome, because you don't blow up tubes and solder doesn't come loose inside your
And to
amp.
be super clear, this is on loan. I requested to dive into this to learn, and so this is an actual Kemper on loan.
Yep. So then you loaned it to me while my amp was in the shop, and guess what?
I sublet it.
You sublet, exactly.
Nice.
I used the Matchless Spitfire profile from HW here.
Yeah.
But I think there was a part of me that thought, well, man, my amp, the real thing, is going to be even better than this Kemper profile I've been using. But the truth is, if it's better, it's maybe 5% better. And
in that environment.
Exactly. And the big thing for me, even week to week now, the places that I'm playing, I'm lugging the amp and my load box and my pedal board and a guitar in, and it's like all on me at one time, and I'm carrying stuff in. So I miss having that. Absolutely. So that's my journey.
I think that's the good intro here.
Yeah.
And then, so just to say again, I am completely new. I have played through your Princeton, and then I have a baseman set up here, 65 baseman, some other things. I don't actually even know how to work the menus, but I have been playing through it. This one is actually amplified, so you can put it on a cab. I've yet to do any of that, and that feels like a hang up to me. But here's the comical thing. I don't play live anymore. I haven't played live in like 6 years. If I was playing live, I love feeling the amp. We play all the time. I mean, we're tracking in here constantly. It's doing ISO cab in the corner. Hooked it up the other day, and I just swear it sounded no different. It was shocking, and it was actually easier to track with. All the weird frequencies were out of it.
That is one of the things that I think people get wrong initially. Like, you always come up with a wrong answer if you ask the wrong question, right? So
that's deep.
I know. Let's go there. How my mother didn't hug me enough. No. If if you put an amp in a room and you turn it up real loud, and you enjoy that thing, and then you get a Kemper and you put like in-ears in your ears,
or some like $19 Behringer headphones.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a much different sensation. But if you want to compare apples to apples, I think the question becomes like, when I go play live and I'm putting in-ears in and I'm putting my amp in another room, and maybe you're in the scenario where you've got to run back there, set an amp down, you've got a 57, you have to sort of hastily set it up. The sound guy doesn't care, he doesn't really know. Then you've got to run into another room, play the guitar, see how it sounds, go back the other way. The question for me, like live, became, can I, in a studio environment, hook up a whole signal chain, multiple mics, take some time miking it up with pre's, my amp at my settings? Can I get that capture to sound better than dragging my amp and sort of doing the hasty setup on a Sunday morning or a Friday night? And that was my experience. I wasn't a Kemper guy all the time. I kind of got into the game pretty late, actually. I moved to Nashville, and I had this experience where I went to go play with these guys, and all of a sudden I heard this like sort of ambient verb starting, and I thought the track was starting. I thought they started tracks behind him. And I looked over, and he was playing a Kemper. But it just sounded so big. And at the time, I had a Sir guitar and a Sir Bella amp. I'm a big Sir guy. And I had a pedal board, with the whole trifecta. I had a King of Tone. I had all the stuff.
You were checking the boxes.
I had it all.
Bouge list.
This is Gear Page approved.
Yeah.
Gear Page approved.
Yeah.
And put a 57 in front of it, and my guitar sounded like a 57. His sounded like the track. It sounded like a produced track. Mine sounded like a 57.
That was my first thought when I literally strummed the first chord. I know a Princeton really well. I strummed the chord, and it was like, oh, it had the thing that's like, it's the difference in your tracking something in a weird mix, and then it was like, this feels like the guitar is mastered. Like, the frequencies were right. And then Addison immediately across the room, without knowing what I was thinking, was like, I had to turn off like the EQ thing for the ISO box, because it was just really interesting. Yeah, so it's obvious that these are working for a lot of people. The first big gigs, I don't know the years. This is years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. When did the Kemper release? What's this tech? Let's talk about the timeline.
I think it's almost 10 years old right now, or it is 10 years old. Like, they kind of unveiled it.
I don't think a lot of people realize that.
No.
Because to a lot of people, me included, like a person like me, it might still seem really new. It's actually a decade old.
Yeah, it's old.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's old in
meaning
terms
it's stable. I'm saying that as a compliment.
Yeah, it hasn't faded away. So if you're sort of waiting for it to become worthless.
We apparently have something melting down in the.
They're like running around the room here.
Like Nick has never left during a live.
He's gone. He's
Addison's on
gone.
the floor. Whatever. We're gonna keep talking.
Yeah.
So I went to. I remember going to a Katy Perry sound check to say hey to the guys. All Kempers.
Yeah.
I believe the Taylor Swift sound check was the same way.
Yeah.
Then I went to sound check, Jimmy Eat World sound check. They handed some stuff off. Talking to him, I was like, "Where are your amps? You're Jimmy Eat World."
Yeah.
And then it's all Kempers.
Right.
And then I went to. I just kept seeing this pattern. Major acts, some people are already in the comments bashing me for bringing up Katy Perry, but we're talking stadium, pro level
Yeah.
players who have all the gear they
Mm-hmm.
want. They're playing a Kemper. Why are they doing that? That was my first question. Then we start seeing, I hear about, Weezer's all DI in now.
Mm-hmm.
And then we hear, and so what is happening is consistency of tone. There is a consistency aspect. And
Yeah.
I have no experience with that. So what's your personal experience with bringing an amp versus, let's talk through that for just a second.
Yeah.
And we're going to jam because
Sure.
nobody wants to hear us talk.
I know this is,
But let's talk about consistency of tone. That is one of the hardest things for gigging ever.
Yeah.
Is I can't tell you how many times amp and speakers just don't sound the same, and it's
Yeah.
frustrating.
Yeah.
And then I give up, and then
it's super frustrating. And there's probably some truth to the fact that like tube amps can sound different day to day, but probably it's
Well, they're
not
magic.
They're magic, right? And here's how I kind of break it down for people. It's like, for me as a guitar player, whether I'm playing Sunday or Friday or whatever, big place, little place, like we take a lot of care to like find the magic diodes and do all this stuff. We take a lot of care for our tone, right? And to me, if you like, these things are tools to be used live. You and me both have a ton of amps. We were sort of bonding earlier about how
we did. We were bonding in my basement.
Yeah, about what our
Banding.
wives think of our amp addictions, right?
I do want to say, if any of you out there have an amp collection that's a little much, and you know it, I think you should offer a service where you come and talk to spouses and really, like, you did the best job. If my wife is watching this, I got to undo what I'm saying, but
Right.
you really sold her on the value of investing in gear.
in vintage amps. They can be
Yeah.
big.
Anyway, sorry.
So what were we talking about?
I don't-
There is a sensation of having an amp in a room, and
Yeah.
and it's the sensation of putting an amp, pointing it at your feet, standing too close to the speaker to really have the highs properly get to your ears, and you turn it up way too loud in like a 10 by 10, 12 by 12 bedroom, and you kick on your tube screamer, it sounds huge.
Reflections,
it's
sheetrock
all
has
reflection.
a sound.
Yeah.
I'm amazed that guitar players don't understand sheetrock
Yeah.
in a bedroom,
Yeah.
reflection, and then like that's why you get gear. You go home with your pedal. You saw
Mm-hmm.
Andy demo, and your home sound is this full bassy,
Huge.
just massive sound. And you go with you get on stage with a band, and he or she, sound person, cuts out 40% of all the
All the low
fatness,
end,
and then
yeah.
you sound good.
Yeah. I mean, your
Yeah.
acoustic, your space, like sound is a physical thing. Like we forget that, but
That's deep.
when you turn an amp up, like you are playing the room.
Yeah.
Like the room, especially if you're hearing all this reflection, because that is amp in the room sound. When people say,
Yeah.
"What is amp in the room sound?" It's the amp too loud for the space.
Yeah, the amp in the room is a reverb, and a reverb is the identification of a room's reflection.
And you take, like,
Yeah.
I would tell people, just put your hand in front of your face and listen to the sound come back to you, and take your hand away from your face. That tells your brain things about where the sound is and the space and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And
People are doing that right now.
They're
It's
doing
like
that right
a
now. They
weird
should be.
world. Thousands of people.
but the thing is, if you are serious about your tone, right? If you're serious enough
Yeah.
that you are gonna like go read about diodes on the gear page, right? Then you've got to, you know what I'm saying? If you're worried that like 4 input output jack mod on the King of Tone messes with the mid range, like if that's you,
Is that a thing?
I
Okay.
probably I just made that up,
I
but
think
probably
it
I think
does.
it's a thing.
I'm going to confirm that now.
Yeah.
Confirmed.
Yeah. Hang on. Mike is messaging me. It's a thing. It lets the mids out. They escape because there's extra holes
Yeah.
in the box, so they don't bounce around there. If you do that, right? If you're to that level, then it makes sense that you would want to take control of the whole signal chain. And one of the things that guitar players do is we stop control of the signal chain at the speaker. And then we go play live or we record, and we say our goal is to get the sound to the end listener's ears, right? And we can't control what they're listening through, but we do have control over those other variables, mics, preamp, like even post EQ is something,
Which everything you mentioned, most guitarists, this is just life.
Yeah.
Most normal guitarists don't even know those things exist. It's
Totally.
not a part of the process.
Yeah.
And so what you're saying, I think, I don't want to speak for you, guitarists need to be aware of the other half of the process of tone.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're getting at here.
Totally.
So there's this factor of room sound, microphone, sound engineer that doesn't like you, a compressor got left on from the gig last night, like crazy stuff. And so it's about the controlled environment.
Yeah, and the ability, like me personally, I have a live sound that I never change except when I'm playing with the band. So what I do is I dialed in my sound at home, and then I started playing live and making adjustments. And I save it, and it's done, and it's there, and I never play those sounds at home because I know I'll make adjustments that will be countering what I am trying to do live. So I'm trying to make the guitar cut live, but I'm trying to not be on the vocals. You know, I'm trying to not step on the vocalist, because they'll just turn you down, right? If your guitar frequency wise is on the vocals,
You're
you just
out.
you're dumped.
There's only so much space. Like,
Yeah.
There's a room for the mix, and if you're over another prime, like you're out. And a lot
But
of
amp
people
in the
don't
room
realize
tone is about filling the room. That's why you go deep in the bass, big in the highs. You know, it's like just turn that
This is
plex.
good, and I think not to rabbit trail. It's the same thing when you're a new guitar player and you hear Back in Black and you get your metal zone and you think that's Back in Black. Like there's a mental. There's
talking about this. Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
mental thing where I remember hearing Back in Black on some Barefoot. I was at Vintage King LA and they played it in a mastering suite, and I was like, this is just light overdrive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like mental.
Yeah.
And then there's other things like that.
Yeah.
Like we
Zeppelin's
used to
like that.
Yeah, we used to repair like a lot of stuff. We would mod DL4s, for instance. And then, people would want the foot switches changed. I can't tell you how many years of getting a Line 6 DL4 delay, and I got it in front of me or at the repair bench with the tech, and it's like all wet with a million repeats.
Yeah.
These just playing at home and thinking that's how delay sounds, and then you go get with a band and they mute you. So there's these aspects of like what we think a guitar sounds like is wrong if it's based on the bedroom
Yeah.
and the room
Completely.
space.
I call it mind EQ,
Mind EQ.
memory EQ.
Talk about it a
it's
little
like,
bit. Yeah.
well, yeah.
This is the longest intro to the show we've ever. We just
Yeah.
jumped right in.
Yeah.
I like it.
If you're here, you're here, man.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's this thing that we do in our brains where, like, our memories alter a little bit, right? And, like Led Zeppelin was a perfect example. Like, I always think those drums sound heavier and bassier than they actually are. Like, I remember a couple years ago, I was trying to dial in for the show When the Levee Breaks drum tone.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, this is awesome. This is huge. This sounds great. I was like, let me pull up the song and see if I'm close. And I was like, these are thin.
With tape
Like,
delay
these
all
are-
over it.
but there's definitely this
Yeah.
thing where our brain, our memories, like alter those sounds. And I don't think I think it's bad when you use that memory to replicate a sound. It's actually an awesome tool if you're using it to make new sounds, because you can make a really cool new sound from your memory and go, oh, that's awesome. But it's not a faithful resource if you're trying. The Back in Black thing, the AC/DC guitar is perfect example where you're just like, oh, so heavy and it's so thick and it's so rich, and you like listen to it and you're like, this is awesome, but this is not how I thought.
There's
it
a
was.
memory emotion
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
plays into gear. I'm gonna we need a trademark memory emotion.
Yeah.
That's a thing. Like I have this one really vivid session where I remember I got brought in to play guitar and it had this vibe. The song felt to me like it wanted to be kind of like that New Radical song, the "Don't Stop Now, You Got the Music in You." It had that vibe.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I love the feel of that song. And I had in my head this entire melody line part, and I tracked it, and I was like, I need to reference, and there's like nothing in the song like that. There was none of what I heard in
So
my
true.
head.
Yeah.
And I was fully committed to the point of like I was remembering parts that never existed
there, yeah.
because
Yeah.
there was like a memory feeling.
Yeah. Well, and there's also
Yeah.
like when you're listening to a mix, there's a lot of harmonic movement that's happening in a song, and you could be hearing overtones and undertones from
Yeah.
other instruments. I swear I've heard my own recordings and I'm like, what's that line that's going? And I'm like, that's like three things
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
hitting each other weird. But yeah.
This is good. So let's just throw it over to you. We have a top down. Walk us through this. Show us the practicals of
Of the Kemper.
yeah, like what
Yeah.
Show us what it can do. I am literally the person that needs to be sold on it. You know,
love it.
I don't know much. I know I like what I'm hearing in in-ears.
Yeah.
I need to go play it on a cab at some point. But yeah, in the in-ear situation, these clean tones are great. I use clean platforms. But yeah, let's walk through, just show us some stuff. I think that's a good place to start.
The last thing I would say is, like, if you're the Edge,
Yeah.
you keep doing you. You know?
Right.
You got a tech that's going to drag like
That's the
8
other
amps
thing.
out. I do too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I get it. I'm into it, you know? So, yeah. So you have a head unit over here.
Yeah.
So is it
Head
is it
unit,
the head
floorboard.
unit, sometimes called the toaster because it kind of looks like a
Yeah,
or a lunchbox.
it looks like a toaster from a futuristic Fallout.
Yeah.
Like Fallout
Yeah.
79.
like what they thought the future would look like.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
back in like old sci-fi.
Future past.
And then this is floorboard unit right here.
Okay.
That's kind of newer. It's called the Kemper Stage, and there's a remote that works with the big one. You know, but the functionality is all the same, so you kind of get all this functionality in that thing. But basically, you've got browser mode, you've got performance mode, and you can hook this thing up to some mics. You can capture, profile. You know, there's this is a profiling technology. You know, there's other.
I find it necessary. Give us a 60-second definition of this, because
Yeah.
line 6 is what I go to. That is modeling. And
Right.
the line 6 tech is out of their own mouths through interviews. Hey, here's an amp. What about it? What are the bold points? What are the broad strokes?
Sure.
Model that. What is profiling? Because this is something important.
Yeah.
DSP, what I hear myself wanting to say, and I know the people watching that are skeptical. It's like it's a digital. They're like it's a digital circuit in there, and they
evil.
made it digital.
It's like the.
Yeah. So what does it mean to profile? What are we doing here?
So I think you think of it like this: like a model is like a digital sort of amp version. It's
Yeah.
like a digital version of the amp, like your digital AC30.
Okay.
And there's a programmed in. Some people sat down and like programmed an AC30. I believe the way Line 6 does it is like mostly component for component. They're modeling.
That started like the Oxbox, things like that. It went from the world of modeling, replicating the broad strokes,
Yeah.
to actually building like here's a schematic, here's a digital resistor, which is fascinating.
Yeah.
So that's how good DSP has gotten. So then you have this.
And then you have this profiler, and I would tell people you can think of it as there's one model in this thing, and it can sort of be dialed in to approximate anything, or to profile anything, or you could think of it as like this thing can build a little working model very quickly of whatever you put into it. So
Okay.
so you give it a signal, it sends in a bunch of beeps and boops, and then a little while later it comes out and says, there you go, you've got
So
a
I
profile.
bring you, like, let's say I bring you one of my Sobtech MiG 50s.
Yeah.
You have it there. It's on a cab. What does it look like, real quickly?
Yeah, so we mic it up just like you would mic up something for recording in a studio. So, we'd put the mics on it. We'd run that through whatever signal chain we like. Maybe some pre's. You could throw EQ on it. Whatever you would do to record a guitar is what you would do there. And then you kind of let this thing do the work.
And it reads and analyzes that.
Yeah.
So that feels, I don't know if anyone out there is familiar with like PA install. We used to shoot the rooms with white noise, and
Yeah.
you'd analyze it with the pin mic. Is it a similar like analyzation of?
I think that's part of this.
Okay.
So there is a part of it that's like that might be similar to an IR. Like I think kind of the profiles are broken up into this amplifier and cabinet section. So the cabinet section I kind of think of it like it's creating an IR to go with the model that it kind of created.
And an IR, I'm playing dummy. Impulse response is the simulation of a space.
Pure witchcraft.
Not reverb for the sense of like, it's not an effect. It's saying, it's like, okay, if you want to mimic John Mayer solo on something like Olivia, how do you get the sound in this system to feel like the microphone's 5 feet away?
Yeah.
You're capturing a response of the room's impulses.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, and originally those were used for reverb, and then it turns out that is very useful for for sort of creating a guitar speaker and cab, because those are so short that it's essentially just an EQ. It's like a very complicated EQ. An EQ much more complicated than you or I could dial in with 2,000 bands.
Tons of notches, tons of bands.
Yeah, and it's reducing. I mean, if you think about it, it's pretty cool. If you say, I'm just reducing the Royer 121 and the 57 and, this like this Neve preamp. I'm just reducing it down to its sort of EQ signature.
You're making like a tone broth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, tone broth.
Tone broth. You just let it
Trademark
stew
that.
for a
We need to start a list.
TM.
That's the second mark. Tone broth.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
It's like a
warm.
yeah, put that on a t-shirt.
It's juicy.
You could sell some of those.
Yeah,
Gross.
show us what's your guitar rig today?
Man, this is my buddy John sent me this. He was
Yeah.
over at my
What's your
house.
cigarette of choice? I see.
I'm a Virginia Slims guy,
Yeah, I
I'm
feel
not
that.
afraid to admit that. They're delicious.
The filters add to the flavor.
They do.
Is that your real answer? You actually know that you're a Virginia
Yeah,
Slims
I don't think
guy.
this is a Virginia Slim.
Is that an American
I got-
Spirit?
yeah.
I see an
That's
eagle
gotta
on
be
there.
American
Has
Spirit.
to be.
Yeah.
I think it's Daniel's. It's American Spirit.
Nice.
No, this is one of those
Yeah.
Fender guitars.
Yeah. It's an S style. And then
And
your amp.
this is a
Give us some music. People
Yeah.
are dying. I can
this is a
feel it.
profile of my 64 Vibroverb Stevie's amp. Big
Okay.
15-inch speaker. In my opinion, the best blackface.
So a 64 Fender Blackface Vibroverb
Vibroverb,
with the
yeah.
15-inch speaker.
With
Let's
the
hear that.
15-inch. All right, sounds like this. Sorry, it doesn't have built-in chorus. That's how accurate it is.
Yeah, let's jam. I guess we'll jam to that. Yeah, keep it going. Nick will come
Let's
in.
do it. It's these Fender guitars, man.
Am I out of tune?
I think I was, man. I don't know. We were met.
Whoa,
Oh, dang.
I'm real out.
Oh, dang. Oh, dang.
Yeah.
It's organic though.
It's organic.
Hit the lead tone again. What you were doing there.
It was such a long intro. The guitars actually fell out of tune.
My chorus was on as well. There's like a thing.
Yeah. I don't think I'm
That's nice.
perfectly in there, but yeah, I mean that's like with its little built-in tubey screamy thing, you know.
So when you profile that, you put a screamer in front of it, and that's a profile.
You could. I'm actually using the clean profile and then the tube screamer effect that's built in. So
So
the
they-
Kemper's got some effects built in.
Okay.
It's got all sorts of delays and verbs and everything, and you can kind of do.
Okay.
You can
so
do
it's
all
an
the big
effects
stuff.
engine with the profiling.
Yeah.
But you could profile. So let's say
Mm-hmm.
a sound that, like for instance, for me, a MiG 50, second input jack, all the EQ at noon, and a Morning Glory always on. That's a
Yeah.
profile.
Yeah.
And you just move on with your life. And
For sure.
Okay, that's interesting.
Pretty much any signal chain you want to record is going to be there, And if you want to put some EQ in the profile, to capture
Yeah.
it, you can. To profile it, you can. And then, digital gives us all sorts of advantages too, where you have access to all these EQs. Like I'm going to come over here and how do you work this unit?
You said it's because it's on a table.
Yeah,
We made you put it on
I'm
a
used to this
table.
being at my
Right,
feet.
right,
Yeah, sure.
yeah.
The ability to just come in here and put like a post amp EQ is something that's like super useful. Not something that's very easily done in the analog world.
No, not at all. So I have
Mm-hmm.
one of your packs. This is a Bassman. It's called the Lowman.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll turn my just to.
Yeah. It's like
my-
super clean.
Here's my clean tone. If I want to crunch it, there's a gain control. How does this? Let's go to the Kemper Cam here.
Yeah.
How does this play into the profile? How am I crunching it?
Yeah. This is where it gets interesting a little bit. This is where it gets a little interesting.
Okay.
You can control the gain there,
Yeah.
and you may run into different degrees of accuracy, in my opinion, with the gain knob. So the way I shoot packs and the way most people download like Kemper profiles is there'll be multiple
And this
profiles.
is, if you're watching and you're just like enthralled, all 12 of you, this is tonejunkie.com.
My mom, my grandmother, they're all really
My
excited.
mom gets internet in a month or two. True story. Go ahead.
Yeah, ToneJunkieStore.com. People who have Kempers
Yeah,
have run into me.
This is for
They-
people like me who don't know.
Yeah,
so I'm,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
because I know people. Some people are just like, let me look. I don't believe it.
Yeah.
Let me look. Okay.
I'm the
Because I still don't believe it. But
Yeah.
it's fine.
yeah, yeah. it's a thing.
It sounds really good though.
It does sound good. It does. So when
If
you
I crunch
download
it,
like a
yeah.
pack or kind of how it works, you will have multiple profiles, and this is kind of how people do it. You have multiple profiles that cover the gain range of an
Yeah.
amp, and that gain knob works really well. However, in my opinion,
I love a good however.
in my opinion, if you capture something super clean, I like it like this. If it heard a sound that was really clean, it doesn't know how those tubes were going to break up. So when
Yeah.
you're increasing the gain, it heard some gain and it's turning that up, but it's hard to know maybe how the EQ is going to respond and everything.
So somehow the harmonic content in there, they're seeing it and then magnifying that and breaking it up
Yeah.
more and leaving
Yeah.
the amp intact.
And so where
It is
I
like witchcraft.
yeah, it does.
That is crazy.
The manual of the Kemper actually describes if you put the amp in the sweet spot where you really like the breakup, then you have the amp sounding how you really want it, and then you have independent control over the amount of gain in the amp, which is something you don't really get with a tube amp, right? It's like, what if I want my amp to be in the sweet spot, but I just want more gain? And that's not really how amps usually kind of spit out. They usually
Right.
start to add a ton of bass. I don't know, in my experience, like most amps sound better at like 8 or 9 than on full
Yeah.
10, you know?
So I'm on Lowman 1. Tell us
Yeah.
walk through this while I strum here. Can you turn the control? Like, let's show the different
Yeah.
basements that you have here.
Sure. So here's
is
super
one.
clean. Yeah, here I can hit this guy. Here's 2. We're just walking up the gain a little bit. 1, I tell people, is like, if you're running a pedal board, you probably
Yeah.
want something this clean.
I'm on a bridge pickup.
Yeah, 2 is where I'm usually starting.
Oh.
So I threw an overdrive in here. So plus is like, some type of like mythical unicorn overdrive that
Okay.
I put in things, And, it can just add some, it's like 2 plus
Okay.
more.
3.
Here's 3. So now the amp's starting to break up a bit,
Yeah, so if
Yeah.
you can see me, is it touch dynamic? Buzzwords. It's like no lag, infinitely fast response.
It works. Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
It works.
Okay.
You keep going,
Yeah,
and
keep going.
and you just get your 3+
Is this mystical
mythic
okay
thing,
little more so okay it's
Yeah.
numerically just more gain.
It's just more gain. Yeah.
I'll add a little milkman verb here.
Wow. That
great.
sounds really good.
It sounds like an amp.
I mean, it can't sound good because it's digital and bull crap.
Yeah.
But,
So yeah, I like the one. I like the super clean
Sure.
one.
And how you're doing it, I notice like pedal board guys,
Yeah.
a lot of them, that's kind of what they do. They stick to one clean profile. They're not asking much out of an amp. And
Yeah.
so
I just want clean perfection. I'm not asking much.
yeah, I'm over here like with my board, if I hit this 2, it's bringing up different delays and verbs, and I'm going over here. I've got a boost on. You kind of have all the functionality in this unit
Yeah.
that you would over like a full MIDI. If you set everything up via MIDI, you control.
You
control
basically
multiple
have
effects.
like a complete Bradshaw rig.
You really do.
that you can slip into a bag.
Yeah, so pretty much everything is controlled by the. You can set it up on an expression
Okay.
pedal, and then even here you can get like multiple states, like more verb, less verb, and you have like. I don't know if there's a limit on how many like parameters you can control, but yeah, you really do have like 5 of any type sound you want,
Yeah.
and you can have different effects turning on and off with just the touch of a button. So
Let's do a jam. And we'll
Can I
do-
ask a question real quick?
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot you were here.
It's fine. So the chat,
Yeah.
the chat, it's
Hi, the chat.
it's extra spicy today.
I
Really?
love that. I love that. I can't. I'm just gonna say to everybody, like, I am one of you guys, except for I saw the light. So,
That's what is intriguing to me about you. I remember Addison sent me a video, and you own incredibly amazing vintage gear, yet you're like a Kemper. Like I was so confused. You are like both polar.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
I didn't really discover the Kemper till I got to Nashville, and I saw how many people were using it, especially how many studio guys were using it. There's a Kemper in all the studios I go to.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that, like, I just noticed it. Now, a lot of those guys are like, I have a Kemper, I use it sometimes. It's not like they're not selling.
I like that it's not either or with you, which so many
Yeah.
people get
Yeah.
hung up on. It's
You're-
really cool.
You're like Dr. Doom in that way. How Dr. Doom is a master of both magic and technology.
Wow. That's
Wow.
You can use that.
we
That's-
rudely cut off Joshua.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. I'm used to it. So, number one, I want to say there's, like I said, chat spicy. We were fighting about cryptocurrency at one point. I don't know why.
Read some stuff. What does spicy mean? This is going to be we're hanging out. This is a living
Yeah.
room today. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
One person swears that this sounded fake. I'm not sure what we mean by the Kemper sounding fake.
What if I told you I was actually playing through a real basement?
So that was going to be my question.
okay.
Was like if you did a blind test, Josh Scott, you do a blind test
Maybe
right
I
now.
have. Maybe I am to everyone watching.
Do you think you could tell which one was fake and which one was real? And how would you define that?
So serious question. Serious answer. I, number one, don't care. Number two, and I mean that seriously.
Yeah,
I
totally.
am not going to die on a hill of is it real or fake, because there is no real or fake. When I strum this chord, that sounds to me from 20 plus years of studio recording, setting in mixes, isolating tracks. This is what my basements sound like at the end of the chain.
How dare you?
And when you say at the end of the chain, you mean after?
This does
after
not
it's-
sound like I'm in front of my amp feeling it at
Right.
my
Yeah.
feet, which doesn't matter in
Right.
real life. This
Yeah.
And when I turn on a Morning Glory,
That you're saying
that's
that
what my
sound,
guitar wants to. That's
Yeah.
what I want it to sound.
That's
like.
what it sounds like
If
when
that's
you.
fake, then I'm artificial.
Yeah.
Hey, but here's a big thing too that I always think about is like when you're miking up your amp live, let's say.
Yeah.
The guy's throwing a 57 in front of your, and I'm not saying that that's going to create a bad profile. I'm sure you've done profiles with a single 57 through a API into the Kemper. It's like done,
yeah.
right? But the ability to capture a sound with multiple microphones, a little bit of EQ, some sauce, maybe you're driving the preamp a little harder, and all of a sudden you get this beautiful tone going that you've spent hours in a studio
Oh,
that
yeah.
you can take live with you,
Yeah, and-
where otherwise you just have a 57 on your
Yeah.
cabinet.
Hey, somebody with a tube amp, try to dump everything below 120.
Yeah.
Go, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Try to
Yep.
try to shelf
Yep.
all the frequencies 4800 and above. Try to shelve it by 2 decibels.
Yeah.
I just come at it like this. I like genuinely love tube amps. Like
I do too.
I know
I
mean,
love them. Love them. Love them.
I have surrounded, like, we went through COVID and my collection just got huge, and I think subconsciously I missed music store, so I just built one around me. It just like slowly built around me, and I even display them like a music store. I have old Fender signage that I've bought.
Yeah.
It just feels good. I would rather look at that. That's like my art. It's
Yeah,
I
it
just
is.
I just look at, I don't even play most of the amps. They never leave my house. I don't want to carry anything upstairs. But I just look like I got a 68 purple Plexi. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever.
Yeah.
You know, it's better. It's like my vintage Mustang or something.
I think it's like, for me, back to that question. I don't see this replacing my
No.
tube amps.
No.
That's not the point. And that's the polarizing.
Yeah.
Like, just it feels like some of the ignorance that
Yeah.
we see through, like, people not understanding. Like, this isn't a fight.
Right.
There's no fight here. I
Yeah.
guarantee the Kemper dudes have tube amps and they love them. Nobody's fighting.
The qu-
There
I'll tell-
is no war.
The quality of my life, I think, got a little better when I got this thing, and I put everything I wanted onto it, and I go play Sunday mornings, right?
Yeah.
And my Sunday morning looks like this. This thing never even comes out of my case in my house. At my house, I have tube amps. I have another unit at my desk. This thing stays in the case. I wake up on Sunday morning. I grab this thing. It's got my in-ears. I grab my guitar. I walk out the door. It comes out. I set it up on stage. I play. I have my whole collection with me. I have every sound I dialed in. I go back home. I put it in its case. I get to enjoy my amps again. No, my back doesn't hurt.
And
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
therein lies the biggest beauty for this thing, too, that you're just like consistency. You've talked about you've dialed something in live that you're never going to touch at home. And you go again and you play live and you
And
go,
that's great. It's
"That's what it
not
sounded
either
like."
or. I
It's
think
not.
it's a tool. So we cut you off a third time. Keep going.
I'm. Why isn't? Okay, here we go.
But
Just to kind of
yeah.
to close my Q&A down, I wanted to say Ben Beard said he uses his tube amp at home and his Kemper live. It seems backward, but it's what works for him. That's what he likes, which is the reason I bring that up
Yeah.
is because there were a good number of people swearing the opposite, that if you're going to sound good in a live setting, you have to be using tube amps.
So the one thing I will
yeah.
say is there's a lot of bands who need a lot of who want stage volume, and that's a real difference. Like a lot of places want 0 stage volume, and so then this is obviously a good solution. There's a lot of other good solutions. You can get an aux box, you can get something like that, right? But sometimes you're playing like a pub gig, and you don't want to be silent. The other guitar player's loud, the bassist is loud, and you want to bring an amp. You can do that with the Kemper, but yeah, in that case,
Just bring your amp.
yeah, just bring your amp.
Again, it's not. No one's fighting here, and there,
I
so
wanna fight.
so much gear. This is the thing that's wild for me because I truly collect this room, the pedals. I've said that I don't. Nothing's better than anything else. There's a reason I'm drawn to like the stories and the history, and it doesn't have to be best overdrive. I hate those comments, and then I think you get into this polarization with this gear. Like, man, you pick a side or I'm out. You know, it's like, dude, why is it like that?
Which is why we were fighting about cryptocurrency for some reason.
Yeah. Why do we have to pick? Like, this
Yeah.
is a really
Cardano
cool
gang.
tool. I think in a lot of ways, we just track. So us three, we have an imaginary band with no name, and we were like tracking a documentary for a soundtrack Soundtrack
for
for
a
a documentary.
You got it.
Yeah. So we're doing that. This I didn't use it. Looking back, I'm like,
Yeah.
this was the better tool.
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
I was in a hurry.
Right.
We needed a certain timeline. I could have turned a knob.
Yeah.
No engineering fee. No person. Like, it's a tool. Use it where you need
Yeah.
it. If I need to change a light bulb, I don't go to my garage and get a hammer.
Yeah. It's true.
I've been doing it wrong.
It's true. You these things are tools. You want the right tool for the job, and
Yeah.
I think musicians are. I mean, if you want to get really like technical, like I look at it like this: like, what do the tube amp in its entire design like has a lot in common with the guitar in that it's a design for the time that was sort of maybe the amp was trying to accomplish something else, right? So like the 59 Bassman, you know, it was made to be put next to a drum set
Yeah.
that was heard acoustically in the room, and it was
Yes.
trying to throw low end forward. And if
Yes.
you look at early Fender Tweeds, you and I will know this because we own some of these amps. A lot of people don't realize Normal and Bright came after microphone and instrument.
Yeah.
Early Tweeds are microphone and instrument channels.
Yes.
Why? Because these weren't just this was
Yeah.
also a PA solution. So the front man was plugging in his microphone into the same amp that he plugged in his instrument.
Yeah.
So these big 12-inch speakers, 15-inch speakers, 4 10-inch speakers, they are designed to be as loud as a drum set in a room. If you don't need that, maybe something else. Now, I love them for what they do. We love tubes for what they do. Like a 57 Deluxe, a 5E3 is magic. You know, you turn that thing
Yeah.
up and it just sounds like a beautiful barking, roaring unicorn thing,
Yeah.
you know? And it sings. And it's special. And
Yeah.
it's a musical instrument in unto itself. But it's also very loud. And, you know, like I want to protect my hearing.
Yeah. Yes.
You know? And how do you have good quality sound coming at an audience when you have really loud stuff on stage, maybe pointed one
Your
direction?
mix is horrible.
Yeah, it's just not good. And that's a thing, you know?
What else you got over there?
Can I just?
You can do anything you want.
Well, okay, one thing that's bugging me. People keep talking about cigarettes.
What?
What?
Oh, there's a couple around here.
I don't know.
I
don't
don't.
know.
I don't really understand. People were really mad about
Yeah,
and your ashtray for some reason.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Is there an
What is-
ashtray somewhere?
Where's an ash? I haven't seen an ashtray.
I have no
I don't
idea.
even know what you're talking about.
There's like a pick bowl.
Yeah, I have my
Oh,
slide.
you're talking about
Oh,
the pick
yeah.
bowl.
You're talking about the accessory bowl.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right.
Oh well. Okay, so we saw the cigarette. We
Wait.
thought it was an ashtray.
That's the pick
Oh,
I
right.
used to play bass. Let me.
Well, yeah, I guess
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, I keep picks in that. It works pretty well.
Can we? I want to just offer a word of. I don't normally interject in these shows because it's me. But
You need to think more highly
can
of
I
yourself.
offer some words of wisdom to the world?
Yeah.
If you don't like it, don't use it.
Bro.
Dang.
It's kind of that
Dang.
simple, and it's also frustrating. And I'm saying this to me. It's like preaching to the choir. So many things I don't give a chance
Yeah.
either. That's the other
Well,
problem.
I think it's like we talked about this the other day. It's not so much like I don't know. I think it's important to understand why you like something as much as it is important to understand why you don't like something.
Yeah.
Because I think that to say okay that this doesn't sound good, it sounds great. It sounds awesome. So there's got to be something else. Is it that it doesn't feel aesthetically like being in Led Zeppelin?
And that's really valid.
And that's valid.
what you're saying. Yeah.
I think that there is an aspect of like guitar player cosplay where our gear is our costume for the band that we wanted to be in or the band that we're trying to replicate or
and
the
it
band
makes
that we
us
like.
feel a way that makes us play a way.
And-
Those are things.
Yeah, and there's actually nothing wrong with that. I actually think that there's something like incredibly valuable about that. But I think understanding that, like, if it really is the sound, which I don't think it is, then maybe it's something else. And just understanding that, like, is it because it looks like a toaster from, Star Trek or something? Like, because that might be it, and it feels too twinkly looking. Like,
Yeah.
it looks like it came out of a time machine. And so maybe that doesn't feel like 1970s to you or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, I think about even bands where I'm like, would it, like, I had this thought. I was like, if I found out that King Gizzard used Kempers, would that change the way I thought about them? And for a second, I was like, yeah, I kind of feel like I would be like, they're not as
Edgy.
cool or edgy. But then at the same time, I was like, but what? I still like their music.
Yeah, it's a thing.
So there's this
It's the
weird
psychology.
psychological aesthetic thing too that I think you can't ignore.
Yeah. Let's jam. Oh, so here's the basement tone. I'll start a jam. Let's do like some ambient E minor thing. So here's the bypass.
Did you say ambient E minor?
We could name it that.
Yeah.
Could be. Does anyone
I'll
have
add.
ambient real quick?
I'll add a dispatch master. So some Warbletron.
You guys keep going. I just want to let you know, Josh, that someone thinks you're the most masculine man in the room.
Wow.
I'm not laughing because I don't agree or anything. I just think that's a hilarious observation.
This is almost like an ambient Wonderwall.
Oh yeah.
Ambient wall. Don't forget to mute your mics.
I absolutely. It just sounds really great.
It sounded really
There's
good.
not a moment of how it felt where I was like, I'm missing out.
I was at like the like about the fourth time through there for a minute. I was like, am I missing out? And then right when we came back around to the one, I was like, no.
Yeah.
I'm not missing out.
Nope.
Now, let's consider the environment. We're in a room. This is a workplace. There's administration offices across the hall. Yeah, it's perfect. It's the tool. It's the tool to
Nick
use.
an electronic drum set to match your Kemper
We're
tool.
not- listen,
Oh yeah, I forgot. Someone said that you have to leave because you're not using a keyboard because you're
I'm not-
using analog drums.
I do have this guy over here. Let me just hold on. Let me just dial in a good drum sound here. Can you guys hear this?
Yeah, bro.
you guys like that? Because
Yeah.
I didn't.
Considering the environment again, if we were, down in Westport and there's like a little bar and we were jamming and you could bring an amp, I'm going to bring an amp.
But even
Sure.
then, how many
'Cause I
local
don't-
shows?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying,
You know?
all the sound situations are like, I don't know that I
Trash.
want to trust a DI signal there.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm going to hear my amp at least.
There is another. So here's another advantage, or another cool thing about the Kemper.
I doubt it.
Hey, man,
So-
look, here's the problem I got. I can't. When I get cooking, I smell the
That's right.
tubes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying,
Yes.
man?
When we were playing out at like Ricky's steak
Ricky's
ring.
motorcycle shake.
Oh yeah, man! Like, you were playing that solo, man. I could just smell the tubes.
Tell you, there's nothing like the good smell of a burning filament.
Oh yeah, man! I just slapped some
It's
bacon
all the
down on there.
oxides and dioxides.
Yeah, I just love the way that
love
it just
it. My
sizzles the
God.
bacon.
Yeah,
My
one time
God.
our power went out, but I still cooked on my tube amp because
That's
my
right.
tone was so hot.
Okay. All
That
right,
doesn't
say-
make any
you
sense.
can,
Sorry.
you can say the thing.
We're
you wanna say
actors.
now.
You probably didn't know this.
It's pretty. It's hard for us to not
didn't know.
act.
You got to just submit to your craft, you know. I mean, sometimes you just
Yes.
Yeah.
gotta get into character. It's the cool thing. let's say you wanna play live and you want to be loud on a stage with a cab and stuff, right?
Yes.
The Kemper actually separates the sort of amp and cab of the profile.
That's good.
So what it lets you do is, let's say you plug that powered Kemper you've got into a cabinet, it will power the cabinet and you'll hear the cab on stage, but you still can use the direct sound with the full cabinet to the sound guy. So
It's really
don't,
smart.
You never really need to mic it, like mic a cab. You still can show up, have your loud, cabinet and go direct. And then the other thing they have, which is kind of newer, to get the amp in the room tone, they released a cabinet, a Kemper Cab, K-A-B. And that actually has its own speaker modeling, which is kind of cool. So what they did was they had Celestion design them a speaker, and then they like measured a bunch of speakers against it. And then they're not, that cabinet emulation is not the sound of a cab with mics on it. It's supposed to emulate what a Blue actually sounds like, and then you have that in your space. And so that's, kind of a way that you can, like I use that when I want to come home, hear the amp in my room, turn it too loud, because I enjoy that. I'm a guitar player. But when I go out, I don't bring a cab.
What do you know about Kemper? Where are they from? Have you talked to them? It seems like they must be high-level genius.
Yeah, they're from the future, actually.
Okay. We need to get back there.
Yeah, I know. Elon's trying to get us there before his batteries run out. They're German dudes,
Okay.
and they are engineers.
Yeah.
I would say if you look at this unit, you can tell it's designed by an engineer. It has
Yeah.
that feel to it.
Yeah.
It's very well thought out. It's
Because user interface is everything. Something can sound really good, and then if you're like haggling with some ridiculous user interface, I give up. I give up before
Yeah.
I try.
There definitely is a learning curve to the Kemper, and that's one of the things I've tried to do. Like when I got really involved in the Kemper, was I noticed there was a lot of misconceptions, a lot of confusion about what it does and how it does it and stuff. So, I've tried to make a lot of content trying to teach people, what these things do. Really, I'm just reading the manual in video form. That's been the last 4 years of my life. Reading a manual on YouTube.
There's a need for that.
Yeah.
Let's
think
give
so.
away. You want to give away some strings?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Whoop, whoop. Welcome to Ernie Ball Trivia Time, where we give away a whole pack of strings. Well, we don't. Ernie Ball
box.
does.
It's like a box.
Man, it's a whole
It's
box.
10 packs.
It's a whole box of packs. Someday I'll get it right, but for today, Josh will make sure that it's a whole box of 10 packs of strings of your choice.
It's a lot of strings.
It's a lot of strings.
For
well,
me, that's like
depends.
2 years.
I don't know.
For me,
it's
that's
a
like
lifetime.
10 years.
That's a lifetime for Nick.
It's about 2 months for me. So I'm going to ask a question. If you get it right, Joshua's going to pick you from the comments if you're first in our chat. And if you get it, you're going to get a whole box of strings. All right, so here's the question. Which JHS and Ernie Ball artist has been known to take a power drill to his guitar strings during his live solos? Go!
All right. While we wait on that,
Is it getting hot in here? Oh. Whew. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Hot Topics. This is the part of the show that's definitely not sponsored by the Gear
Not
page
at all.
in any possible
there's
way.
not any form of. No.
It-
We are a supporting member.
Yeah. Well, you guys are supporting members.
I'm a supporting member too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got 3 supporting members at the table.
You guys, today's list of hot topics, basically, let me just explain a little bit of how the sausage is made here. Addison sends me an email because he's subscribed and I'm not. And it is basically like the top 5 or 6 hot topics of the Gear page. And can I just like read a few of them off today? Because they're
Come on.
they're really good.
I'm excited. You were excited earlier, so I'm excited.
This is the only way Nick gets excited about gear.
Well, it's just great. It's also just like I love it when they are a part of this. So I hate my digital modelers.
Good
is
timing.
one of the topics.
I love that. That was me. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm having
that
a
was
bad
you.
day. It was.
And then guitar/amp match made in heaven. That one, I think that we should hit that one. And then shouldn't we always low/high cut? Which I think is interesting because we've been talking
Yes.
about this.
Dang.
So let's go. Oh, and also 10 albums that changed your life. I think
Oh, that's tough.
that's really tough. But I think we just take this slow. How about guitar/amp match made in heaven?
Well, first off, I don't think that's a theologically sound thing.
What is? Oh,
Like amps and guitars in heaven.
Yeah.
I feel like.
you know
Right?
that.
I mean, if we want to get in and really chop into the-
Nitty-gritty.
That's
My understanding is they are confiscated in purgatory.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Before you get.
It's hermeneutically unsound.
My God.
Joshua, you want to weigh in over there on this?
Yeah, Kelly B, you're the winner.
Good job, Kelly. Hey, congratulations.
So if you would please email us at vlog@jhspedals.com. Kelly B, like literally, as soon as you asked the question, Kelly B won.
Dang.
That's impressive.
That's the fastest I've ever seen.
What
it
was the
happen.
answer?
Congratulations.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Paul Gilbert.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Makes sense.
So it is okay. I get the question. I've never thought like this. I don't have that thought in my
Yeah.
mind. I never think about. I just like something and I like another something, and they always just do a thing, and that's the thing they do. And
Yeah.
I don't lie awake thinking about, have I tried each combination of everything? I'm not that person.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But if
Okay.
you were.
This guitar and like a Sobtech MiG 50, why not?
Awesome. Cool. Addison.
Which is like,
I think of the Edge. I think of his Explorer and his AC30.
is
That's
that
a
what we're
sound.
talking?
Yeah.
Is we talking about referencing old records?
Well, I mean, now I am.
Okay. Well, that
That's fine.
You could
That's
say
a fun-
classic
I like that.
pairings.
I like
maybe?
that.
if this was a board game, I
Right.
would play that game.
Okay.
The other game,
cool.
I'm like,
That's
I
the
don't
game
know.
I'm playing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, that was it.
I'm out.
I would say the Edge's Explorer or even a Les Paul and his. That's just it's
Yeah.
a sound to me. But
Totally.
Yeah.
HW, what's about you?
Man. Yeah. The Edge is a good one. You know what I like that the Edge does?
Mhm.
He has the AC30s on, and then when he wants more drive, he hits on the 57 Deluxe, the Tweed Deluxes, and he uses them like an overdrive pedal. It just crams that mid range in the middle like a tube screamer.
That's expensive.
Only it's like an $8,000 tube screamer. You know, it's the world's most expensive
Wow.
tube screamer.
so he's
wild.
he's not using Kemper. Could he do that with a Kemper? Could you do something like that with a
No.
Kemper? Nope. Okay.
No,
cool.
I mean that's no.
In
Nobody's even doing
fairness-
that since.
No,
In
that's
fairness,
true.
he has used a lot of amp modeling and digital
Yeah.
distortion modeling over the years.
Yeah.
Like to the point
sure.
where Line 6 had to make him the rack unit of the distortion modeler. They had, when they tracked Atomic Bomb, he had used like 10 of the DM4s, and they were labeled for songs and thrown in drawers, and like it
Wow.
was chaos. So I mean, that's, again, you're like the Edge in the fact it's not either or. That's the highest compliment you're ever going to receive.
That is it.
Man.
That is it. I just got it. I thought it was earlier that I was like Dr. Doom. Was that
Yeah.
Dr. Doom? Yeah.
Well, I think I think
We just keep upping it here.
Yeah.
Mine would be Stevie Strat 64 Vibroverb. I think that's an underrated amp, and I think a lot of Stevie's sound is the bigger speaker. You know, a lot. He has a sound that even when it's clean, it always sounds really loud. Like it sounds like he's turned up really loud. He always has that just. It sounds like a 10-ton Strat.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that's like the big speed. I don't know. I feel like when I play the Vibroverb and a Strat, I'm like, oh, I can kind of hear some of that. You know,
That's
I don't
cool.
sound like him, but I think that's a cool pairing.
10-ton Strat is a really good band name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Nick,
Maybe
what
you
about
guys can use that for your unnamed.
10-ton Strat? You play a Strat all the time, Josh.
I like Strats. Yeah.
That's
What about
true.
10-ton built Revelator?
It almost is 10
10
ton.
ton, it's 10 ton
It's the
Revelator.
heaviest guitar I own.
What about you, Nick? Do you have a combo that comes to mind?
So the thing is, guys, I plug a JHS Loud is More Good amp into an aux box that's modeling something, and I don't.
You don't even remember
Here's
what
the
setting
thing.
it's on.
I
do
set
you?
it up one time, and then I forgot what it was even called, and then
Does it sound good to you?
Yeah, well, I just go line out of the thing. I don't even make up my guitar. I just go line out of the aux box into my UAD, and
It's weird
I
because
like
you
it.
make really good music.
Yeah, thanks.
How do you do that without knowing all the intricate details?
You
of-
see, the thing is it's a lot about.
You don't even post about it on the gear page
I've
before
never
you make the
seen
music.
you take photos of your gear.
It's just like I like to keep a lot of stuff secret
Oh,
because
yeah, you're that guy.
yeah, because if people find out what I use, the prices will go up, and I just can't have that happening. So anyway, well, hey, this has been a great episode of Hot Topics.
We already gave the strings away. So let's do another sound. You do a jam. Walk us through another sound.
Oh gosh.
And we're going to give away some of your packs.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
What you got?
Yeah. You want to ask us a question? So we're going to give away 3
Oh,
everything
that's what we're doing. I
packs.
thought we were jamming.
Well, we can
Sorry,
jam.
what are we doing?
Why don't we ask the question
Let's do
and
it.
then we jam and
Give
we can
away
pick
an
the
every
winners?
Give away an every.
We're going to give away
3.
3 everything packs.
is
So
cool.
if you've made it this far, congratulations, because you're about to get a big old awesome
Yeah.
pack
What's
of
in this
everything.
pack?
Everything.
If you bought the amps, how much money would it cost you for the physical amps?
I've never done that calculation, but I mean,
You're good at math. I've
it's
seen you. $1,000?
it's over $250,000.
$250,000.
If you bought all the amps,
Yo.
That's
Is that
what I'm
what you're
asking.
saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
oh, you mean if you bought the profile
If you-
packs?
No, if you bought the physical
the
amps.
amps. Over $250,000 for sure.
So we're giving away 3. We're giving away 75% of $1 million.
yeah,
This is unbelievable.
Okay. This is the biggest giveaway.
Unbelievable.
Really incredible.
All right, let's jam. What amp are you gonna play? Sorry, what profile are you gonna play from your $250,000 collection?
Here
I'm
is.
gonna start calling you $250,000.
Here is. Yeah, please. This is my '68 Purple Plexi.
That's
This-
a really rare amp.
This amp was owned by Aspen Pittman before I got it.
Okay.
And I was told, but I can't confirm this, and I don't think it's true, but I just like telling it anyway.
Yeah. That's how the internet works.
It was one of the amps sent from Aspen Pittman's collection to the studio when they were recording Appetite for Destruction.
Okay.
Don't know if it was used. I was told it was sent over there with a bunch of amps. Is it the amp? Most likely not, but
Hey HW, will you ask us your awesome trivia question
Right now?
before we jam? Let's do
Yeah.
it. Ask us, and then Joshua can find a.
okay. So I'm a big Fender guy. I'm a big Fender fan, and so Leo named the Broadcaster guitar for broadcast, radio, broadcast media, right? He named the Telecaster to sort of capitalize on the television
Yep.
trend. What was the Stratocaster
Love it.
named for?
Beautiful question. What key are you in?
I think I know that.
We're gonna be in that key right there. It's B minor, D.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Don't forget to mute your mics.
really cool dentist music. This is my clean tone.
Jams like that just make me like. I just feel ready to like drive to soccer practice. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Can
Yeah.
I ask a question? What's a purple plexi?
Oh man, so
I don't know what that is because I use these to make sounds.
yeah. So a plexi is a plexiglass panel Marshall amplifier from the late 60s.
What does that mean?
So they on the sort of gold plate that they have the
I know what it means.
controls
I'm doing it
mount.
for Nick.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The sort of the gold
me
plate.
use sticks hit drums hard.
The gold plate where the knobs are was
Yeah.
made of plexiglass.
Okay.
And there were different models, but that era became known as their plexis. So there's a super lead, a super bass, and like a 50 watt. And there's other amps. JTM 45s use plexis too. So it's sort of a loose term. But Marshall's always been really bad at naming their amps. You know, it's like we had the Deluxe, we got the Pro Reverb, the Bassman. Like Fender really got it. Marshall was like, in 1967, we'll create the 1959. It's
Yeah.
like, bro, there's already a really famous amp called the 1950. Like it's the 59 Bassman. Why would you assign nonsense
It's
numbers?
crazy.
Yeah, and then they're like, this is the 2203 from the future, and the 2204 has more wattage. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Why is it called purple?
Oh, so Marshall, for whatever reason, in the late 60s, was just kind of way ahead of the boutique trend by like 50 years. And they just started making amps in like different colors. So they made like some purple ones, some red ones, some orange, some white. And those are pretty rare because most of them are black.
Cool.
Mine's purple.
That was really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful purple if you haven't seen it.
It's nice. I dyed my hair purple when I bought it.
You did. I remember that.
Whoa.
Who wins these
Three.
$750,000?
That's right.
75% a million.
Yeah. I mean, we could just do 4. Might as well give away $1 million.
$1 million.
Right.
Everybody,
my
yeah.
God.
All right, yeah. Woo!
We did it.
Do you know how much pressure this is putting on
Together
you
we
right
did
now?
it. Yeah.
Unbelievable generosity. I really hope this is a tax write-off for you.
I'm going to write off the full $1 million. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Man, I tell you what.
Wow.
Around here, you know what we do? We give away $1 million of amps, and we use a Klon for an ashtray. That's just how it is today.
Oh, is that a Klon?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait a minute.
It's
That's what that
I-
is. I
I
thought
thought this was just an ashtray. Oh, no.
who wins?
Oh,
Who
no.
wins? 4 winners.
Oh, no.
I gotta say, I don't think in the history of guitar there's ever been such a kind gesture. $1 million.
I don't think so either.
Didn't Eric Clapton auction his black
Yeah.
Strat off for charity? Was
Didn't
that
he-
worth $1
didn't
million?
he start an entire charity?
Oh, he did. Okay.
It doesn't touch
Doesn't touch this.
Doesn't he every single year put on a festival to then
Yeah.
fund the charity
Oh,
that he
dang.
does
Who,
for free?
who wins these? We're making millionaires.
Also, doesn't Neil Young like fund an entire school for special needs?
That's
So what
nothing.
you're saying?
It's nothing.
Okay. So I'm not sure if it's my internet went down, so I'm hoping it didn't.
Oh no.
It didn't
Oh,
read
no.
to start the chat or something.
Are we okay everywhere else? I'm going to keep
Yeah.
going.
Looks like we're still okay.
The broadcaster was named for broadcasting, the telecaster for television. Why was the Stratocaster named the Strat?
Have something to do with space.
Am I answering the question?
No, I
Oh,
am.
okay.
Stratosphere. The answer is stratosphere.
There you go.
That's what I thought.
That's not. Well,
I know.
okay. Well, anyway, Patriot Pizzaman,
$250,000.
Fax Mister.
$250,000.
How do people come up with these names? Bedroom Rocker
$250,000.
You need this pack.
and
Making $1 million.
Eric Navarro.
Oh.
$1 million.
I know him.
Really?
I don't know. Maybe. There's probably a couple Eric Navarros
Is he
out there. I think
Dave
I met him.
Navarro's brother?
Yeah, cousin.
Chili Peppers guy?
If you
Half
could
brother.
please email us at vlog@jhspedals.com.
And if you're not those
If you're not
people,
Patriot Pizzaman, Fax
don't
Mister, Bedroom
even
Rocker,
think
Eric
about
Navarro.
it.
Hey, so we just gave away $1 million of your everything packs.
Yeah.
Will you talk a little bit about your, as much as you want to share or as little as you want to share, just your process and why, like, what makes Tone Junkie Tone Junkie? Why do people want your profiles? Because you said it earlier, like, if you got a Kemper, you've probably heard of me. That's not like,
Well, there's a reason I brought him here.
right, exactly.
There is a world.
Right.
How many people are on Earth?
I call it the Kemper
There's a lot.
Yeah,
The
I was.
Kemperverse.
I mean,
Yes.
everywhere I looked, it was like, just get him.
He's the guy.
Yeah. So why
Yeah.
is that?
Well, Michael
Talk-
Britt was busy.
Oh, right.
Here's
he had
what
a
I-
gig this weekend.
I did reach out to him.
I
He
need
said
you.
no.
Here's what I need from you. I need this camera on him. Here we go.
Hello.
Talk about yourself.
Wait, what was the question? No.
I want to know about Tone Junkie. I know about Tone Junkie,
Yeah.
but for the people that don't.
Yeah, man. I just discovered the Kemper and then decided I would profile the world.
Yep.
So I thought, man, wouldn't it be cool if like every amp was like I could get the sound of every amp? And so that's been my mission. So you can't be all things to all people.
Yep.
So when people come to me and say, HW, do you have a sound for my new deathcore metal band, Slaughtering Babies? That's the name of the band.
Okay.
I go, I don't know that I'm like making the best tones for that.
Yep.
So I'm really into like, just I dig old amps. I dig like boutique stuff, and so that's what I go for. So I tend to just mic things up the way that I learned that people do it, and that's a ribbon, a dynamic. It's very like nuts and bolts. Like this is kind of how you make guitar sound good. This is how you close mic an amp. And this is a lot of the common gear that people use. I kind of make it for me, and I try to make it work for other people.
Yeah.
But a lot of it gets made for me, and I try to keep myself entertained.
Yeah.
So I make a lot of content on Facebook and YouTube, and it's an excuse, to write off the amps for the IRS, and
Yep.
that's it's a nice.
I see.
some great-
Okay,
That's
now
the
we get
real-
down to the bottom of it.
because you can. You
You
turns
want to
out-
collect amps, and you just need a way to.
Yeah, this
Okay.
is just the hack to
Yes.
to collect a lot of amps, really. No, yeah. So I mean, people can find it at in terms of shameless plug. People can find it. You can search Tone Junkie on like all the socials, except for TikTok.
Okay. You're
That's
not
my
on
happy
TikTok.
place where I just consume like fun content. I don't make anything yet.
Good for you, man.
So here's a question. Why do you think so this is tough. Like I hate this question. It's you don't want to feel like a used car salesman, but
Yeah.
why do you think there's such a respect for your packs? You're friends with the other profilers.
Just so we're
it's
clear.
like a super group. of
Just so we're
prof-
clear, right now there's 1 million people in chat saying all my profiles suck. I hate this guy.
I'm sure.
Absolutely.
The point is
That's true.
there
That
is
is happening.
there's a
I love those people so much, man. I really do.
There's an industry respect for you that's apparent across the people that I've talked with about Kemper and stuff. So yeah, why do you think that is? What's your process? Why is that? Like, what's your best guess? You know you better than we know you. That's deep.
I think you are the best at something when you genuinely love doing it. And
Dang.
I don't know that it's possible to be really good at something without loving it. You know?
Whoa.
So I genuinely love
You
what
come here for tone, but life hits you.
Life
Life
hits you.
lessons. Yeah, it's true.
It's all about the love.
That is very true. So you just genuinely love
Yeah.
this. You're
How
in
did
over
you-
you're drowning
Yeah.
in this stuff.
I mean, you are like surrounded by your passion right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's literally, how many pedals are in this room?
We'll have them counted one day.
A good
We
bunch.
still don't know.
It's between 3,000 and 4,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like an avalanche could happen. We would all be in real danger.
I would
Killed
be
by-
killed
Here,
immediately.
I mean, immediately.
in this corner.
Just look at Nick.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
my
for
gosh.
sure.
in this corner. Freaking, there's got what? This thing's got springs on it. If it fall on my
It
head,
would be
I'd
like being stoned with tone.
tone.
Tone
Tone
Stone.
Stoned.
Yeah.
Trademark.
Dude,
Trademark. Tone
Hey,
Stone.
can
That's
I
the
come
third
up with
one?
a rival and you can be Tone Junkie and I can be Tone Stone?
Yeah.
And then like I'll make.
But all of
profiles.
your profiles, you just get wasted and do
Yeah.
the profile.
The thing is it would literally be the exact opposite because I can't think of anything I would hate more than sitting in a room profiling amps. Like that does not sound fun to me at all. I'm so glad you like to do it because I would not have fun doing that.
Sounds like a blast.
I would sow all sorts of hate into my profiles. All of my hate.
No, man, it's great. It's like I get to just, I get to like get a hold of really cool amps. I meet a ton of great people, a ton of cool people, and I get a hold of great amps, and I get to learn about them. I get to mic them up, make them sound great, and then sometimes
Cool.
I make videos about them. You know what I mean?
That's really cool. How
Yeah.
long?
Plus, when you play, if you really, you learn so much playing all these amps. You learn so much that like 1,000 gear page posts can't tell you. You know what I mean? You think you know what something sounds like, and then you get the thing, and you really play it, and you get it. Like one thing that's always fascinated me, Leo Fender, all his guitar designs are around efficiency and being able to produce these guitars cheaply. But then he releases a line of amps. Like when he finally gets there with the blackface stuff, you can see it's the tweed stuff, and then the brown face is really, you can hear the transition. He's trying to get cleaner. He's trying to get less mids. He's trying to get that beautiful sound that really comes out with this. He still has like 12 amps in that lineup. Like you know what I mean? Like he thought they were essential, or he wouldn't have done it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you get them, and right now I have them all. I finally have them all at one time, and I'm profiling them all. And I'm profiling them all because how cool is it to get in the tone time machine, close your eyes, and like go, this is like walking into a shop in 1965, and they have the whole lineup. How's a Princeton different than a
pretty
Vibroverb?
cool.
How's it different than
It's
a
the
Proverb?
like living brochure. It's the thing I go through with the pedals. Like
Yeah.
I want to, if I go over to the DoD wall, the 87 line,
Yeah.
that's an experience to recreate.
Yeah.
It's cool.
That's why I love amps too, because I think like if I'm playing like I have like a custom shop strap, but in my head I go like that bridge is stamped on the same machine that stamped the real 59. It's the same stamping machine they're still using, right? To do just the plate and stuff. Okay, but
Yeah.
that thing, you like close your eyes, you play through that 59 tweet. It's like, man, someone in like 1959 walked into a music store, they plug in this thing, they heard this sound. You're like in another time.
Yeah. Time travel.
Time travel.
Tone travel.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
that sound.
It's like you're
was there.
romantic about it.
It's
or
like I'm
something.
romantic about it.
I think
Wow.
it like truly is a romantic thing. We joke about time travel, but I think that's why museums exist. That's why, if you love some topic, if you can touch something that existed in the time period, it's like
Yeah.
super important.
Yeah. It's I think in some ways I see people's distrust or whatever of profiles or like hesitation, I'll say. And it's funny because like I think some of that hesitation comes from this place of feeling like the romance is lost, the magic is kind of lost from the idea of a profiled amp. But what's interesting is hearing you talk about it in your process, and you so deeply like care about the history and the physical. I mean, you own so many of these amps. Like, you care about these original pieces, and I think it's really cool that you found a way to sort of like bridge that gap between something that people could maybe feel as like cold and not as welcoming as like looking at like this pristine, like, you know, grill of an amp with all of the knobs and like the history that's attached to it. But I think it's really cool that you're able to take that, much like we talk about pedal history, you're kind of sewing this pedal history or this amp history into the way that you profile these, and I think that's really cool, and it's why I'm not doing it.
Does anyone have a Kleenex?
We're just all gonna start crying, man.
Right,
it's so beautiful. Have you done any profiling of like solid state?
I'm sure I have. I'm trying to think of. Yeah, I did. I've done some of the old Music Man amps, and those are like. Right, they have tube preamps or tube power amps. I can't remember.
Yeah, there's some mix there.
Yeah.
It's cool.
That's cool.
Can the Kemper? What did I just lost the word? Can it profile? This is the worst day of my life. Can it profile single pedals?
Theoretically, it probably can, but you will get the sound of like a direct pedal. So you'd need to like run that into something. So the pedal, usually when I use a pedal, it's like through a clean amp. So I gave away like 2 packs that were just like old pedals I had. It's like old Marshall stuff, like a Klon, a Tube Screamer, and it was just going through like, you know, kind of a clean amp setup, something very similar to the Bassman, you know.
So what you could do is use your guitar into your Kemper. You could profile a Klon.
Yeah.
And have the magic of that Klon.
How dare you even?
And then, hold on, you run that into your 2-rock instant John Mayer tone.
That could work.
You know what I'm saying?
That could work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
What is, let's do a jam here, but before we do a jam,
Yeah.
and then we have Patreon question corner, what's the downside? Be on it. Like, you know,
Yeah.
let's talk about the negatives. I truly love what I'm hearing. I'm going to dive into this. I'm the noob. There's a lot of obvious reasons this is great tech. What are some honest downsides? You're very experienced with it.
I don't know that I've ever said this in a piece of content before. So this is the
Well, it's
exclusive.
breaking news here.
The breaking news.
Yeah.
Breaking news.
Hold on. Well, I don't have a stinger.
Do you have a?
That's fine.
So this is why the Kemper is like my favorite of all the things that have come out so far. Because it does this one thing better than anything, but maybe there's still something about a tube amp that can. So people will sometimes say there's some compression with the Kemper, and generally I hear people complain about digital stuff. They say like it lacks oomph, or it feels flat, or they say compression, and so they're like picking up on some difference in the dynamic, right? The dynamics that happen.
I think I've heard this related to like there's something about people throw on the term like the sensitivity of it or the input, like maybe there's something about the input that feels different.
I think some of it is that you have this real master volume that you don't have on a tube amp. So a tube amp, when you have the master, you can actually push more signal in the front, and where the master is on 5, the amp would get louder. So you don't really have a master volume. It's a bit like how a car has a gas pedal, not an accelerator pedal, and then you get an electric car and you realize this is like a real accelerator. There's no lag, right?
Yeah.
And so the thing I notice tube amps do, and I think the thing we really love, is when you have you take a 5E3 57 Deluxe, right? You put it all the knobs at noon. There's only like 2 knobs. There's 3 knobs, but you're only using like 2 at a time. Unless you jumper it, then you can use 3 at a time. Anyway, let's say you have all the knobs at noon, right? And you play it and you sort of dig in. You hear that thing break up, but as the note decays in volume, it also cleans up. It's a very a live response kind of type of thing. I think a lot of digital gear does a really poor job of that. I think the Kemper does the absolute best job of that. And I think it's something that maybe that doesn't translate quite well into in-ear. I don't know how much of his in-ears, but sometimes I plug into amps and it just fills the room, and it's sort of, you get this harmonic swirl around, and I don't know if it's getting all of it, is it getting 95%? Is there still something? I don't know. So to me, there's still a magic that like
Yeah.
nothing quite gets there. I get that.
I love it, and that's what we were saying.
Yeah.
It's not either or. This is not. To me, it would never be an amp replacement for life. It's a tool.
Yeah. But if my house were on fire, I'd grab the 57 Plexi, and then when my house burned down, I'd sell it and buy another Kemper and keep the difference. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I would do. So I could be happy with just a Kemper. I'm not, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's not like it doesn't work,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
One last question. How many profiles do you think you've made?
I should figure it out. But it's way more than fit on a Kemper, that's for sure.
How many fit? It's a good question.
The Kemper is software limited at $999.
Oh man, because like you know me, I'm always like I gotta have 1,000. I gotta have my solid 1,000 sounds.
I can show you a workaround to get more on it, but the boot up time gets really slow, which is why they limited it. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm sold on this Kemper thing now. 999 sounds is just like one less than what I need.
And you don't want to limit your creativity.
No, and that's
Absolutely.
the thing, right? I'm
You don't wanna limit.
operating at 1,000% creativity all the time, and I need 1,000% coming from my amp modelers.
You demand the most.
I demand perfection, and anything less is absolutely like just can't
right.
handle it.
Let's jam. You want to jam? I'm on the Princeton, so I'm gonna go to a dirtier profile, which is odd for me. But in a studio
you, man.
situation, crank amps and stuff, pretty normal.
Yeah.
So that is
Sounds
Princeton
so fake, bro.
3+. So that's the 3 sound plus. What was the booster drive?
That was a for this era of Tone Junkie, it was a J Rocket Archer.
Okay, so another clone thing. So an imitation clone. Well, that's trash. Because you can't replicate
No.
any circuit.
Impossible.
Can we you just said something that made me think of something. You were like, man, that sounds so fake. Can we just do an experiment really quickly? Everyone leave your microphones on. All right? I'm going to play the drums. This is what the drums sound like in the room. Now everybody mute your mics. Those are going through fake preamps that were made by a computer.
Let's
So
do that again.
Let's do it again.
Mic's on.
Do you think that my point is coming across a little bit? Just a little bit? This is closer to what if you were standing in the room with me right now.
yeah.
Everybody's mic's on. This would be closer.
Let's give
to
you a
what it
few
really
bars,
sounds.
and then I'll count in a mic
Yeah.
change. Yeah. Just play. Yeah, so what's fake and what's real? It's all tools.
I mean
and
that
that's a
what you just
crazy.
heard is that's not how drums sound in a room.
It's true. Which one's better?
I
Mike?
think you made a really good point.
I just feel like, that's what I'm here for.
Hold on one second. The camera on Nick there. Can you make like a rock and roll face? All right, we're going to overuse that stinger. That's fine. All right, I'm on a dirtier Princeton sound. Let's see.
Don't forget to mute your mics.
This isn't like weird Tom Petty at all. Good sound. Yeah, it sounds like it sounds in a mix.
Yeah.
When you play it back, that's what it sounds like.
Sorry, I was agreeing with you, inaudibly. But do you think, like we were talking about this earlier? I think in general, some of the like, if you buy something like this, you buy any digital kind of unit. In general, what it can expose is like how familiar are you with the sound of a mic'd up recorded guitar, and how used to you are. How are you used to playing, with an amp mic'd up in another room? If you're not used to that sensation, it can be.
That can be
very
pretty shocking.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
why we've done the show almost 3 years. I've pretty much only played primary, and even before that, a lot of live gigs were in ears. It just sounded exactly like what I had been doing, and just more. It was there quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what you're saying is true.
Yeah.
If you plug up to this and you're used to just jamming at home, you got carpet on the floor, sheetrock on the walls, you turn your amp up, you get your your record player playing Metallica, you're probably not going to like this and it's not the tool you need for that.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll say too that it's like a thing that you have to get used to, because I remember recording in my basement for a long time. I didn't have the aux. I had like a Fender. I don't remember what it was called. It was one of them Fenders.
And 95 Blues Deluxe.
That's what it was. I don't remember what
love
gear's called. Mic'd it up with a 57, like, everyone.
like a working man.
Yeah, like God intended it.
Yeah, amen.
And it sounded great when it was recorded, and even with headphones on, you feel the sound. You can still hear it bleed through your your headphones. And then I remember getting the aux, and initially I was like, "Oh, what?" Like it all of a sudden it just goes, shoo, and it's all in your ears, or it's coming through your your monitors in your studio, and that is a different feeling. But I feel like if you just give it a chance, like it just took a little bit to get used to. And when I think the thing that sold me on that idea was like on playback, when I was playing my guitars back, and I was like, oh, I don't hear the sound of the amp bouncing off of the ductwork in my basement. You know what I mean?
Sounded mastered, yeah.
And I was like, wow, this sounds actually like dope. The performing element changed, but I feel like over just time, I've gotten used to it, and I don't miss it. But I also,
there's
it's
a lot of
relative.
people and that's fine. It's different tools for different trades.
For sure.
I mean, I've tracked so many solos just standing in front of studio monitors. So there's not a big, it's like, cool, sounds great. But yeah, it's a shocker. So I'm interested in the comments. Are they still saucy?
I'm going to let you guess.
Yeah, so here's the deal. In the comments, let's be saucy, but let's be constructive, and I like data. So in these comments, let's drop the hot sauce, and let's just say, tell us your experience with tools like this, if you actually have some. Like, what was it like for you when you played one versus your amp? Those of you who haven't, tell us why you think you don't like it, even though you haven't played it. I think that's a valid, I'm not saying that sarcastically. If you haven't played this and you're saying, this is dumb, I hate this, explain that. Like, don't just say it, explain it. And then if you have played amps, went to this, you have studio experience, and you still don't like it, tell us about that. So I actually would like to see some real world data. Data is the future.
It is.
I don't know if that even makes any sense. But let's do some Patreon questions. Yeah. There's a fancy. That's your finest work.
It's,
Yeah.
it was a long day.
Have
when I
people
made it.
figured out that all of your stingers are just grocery store commercials?
You guys, okay, I don't know if you live in the Midwest, the Price Chopper jingle. That is that's the keystone to all of the jingles I've ever written. That, and there's another one that I won't name. But
Yeah, you gotta keep it.
I gotta
close
keep
to
some
the
of
vest.
I gotta keep some of my jingle secrets.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Patreon questions. So we have a Patreon where you guys and gals have helped fund tons of travel all over the world for months and months, several years, we filmed a lot of things. So we're going around and interviewing inventors and people who made all the gear that we love and preserving those stories, documentary form, short form episodes that you've seen, working on books. And so huge thanks to the Patreons. There will be a link in the description where you can go sign up and support that. I guess the weird tagline that's developed is go over to Patreon and help us support the preservation of pedal history. It sounds classy.
Sounds
That's
so
really
classy.
It's a classy saying.
Yeah.
You know? And so it really is. So, and if you want to go right now, it's just thejhsshow.com has the link, or you just go to Patreon and type in JHS Show. So Tommy Kong's question, these are supporters, and we just choose the questions out of that. If you could have only one pedal, one guitar, and one amp for the rest of your life, what would it be? So for me, Morning Glory, Sovtek MiG 50, and the Built. Again, I'm so boring. What about you?
My black K-line Telly.
I didn't know you had a K-line.
I
Cool.
do. It's amazing. A deluxe Memory Man tap tempo with Panasonic NOS 3 MN 3005 chips.
Nerd.
into probably my Spitfire, maybe a DC-30. I haven't actually played a DC-30 before, but I think
There's
I
a
really like it.
profile on here.
I know. Well, okay, I have played a DC-30 then. Because,
All right.
yep, that's
What about
it.
you?
I mean, I think I got to take a Kemper for a pedal.
Hey.
I don't even know if I need. I would take an expression pedal to go along with this Kemper stage.
You would just use the stage.
I would use it. I'm using it right now.
What guitar?
I am partial to the Sur JM Pro. I got a blue one with S90s. I think they make.
What body style is that? What is
It's like a Jazz Master
Okay.
esque, but it's a
JM.
It's altered
Okay.
a little bit.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nick.
I know exactly what guitar. I would take that blue, baby blue, sky blue baritone that you have.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Because think about it. You can still play just high and just, you take some, if we're on a desert island, you just grab some like bark and just wrap it around. You got capo. You can write some stuff in normal.
Sharks.
Sharks.
Bark capo.
Bark capo.
Okay, go ahead.
Anyway, and then for amp, I would probably something that makes sound. It's just
An
loud. An amp, man.
How
'Cause
about
it
the
got
JHS
speakers.
loud is more good?
How about the J? That's what I use. That is what I use. I would take
You
that.
have the first,
And-
the proto of that. Yep.
Yeah, I think, and then if I had to have one pedal, I'd probably take. I'd probably take some messy germanium fuzz, because if I was stuck on an island, I could dial into some radio stations maybe, and I could like.
See,
Actually, that
that's-
wouldn't help me at all.
That's thinking outside
if I'm
the
thinking
box.
about it. I would need to
Yeah.
project radio station. Never mind.
Life's not about doing; it's about having things.
Yeah,
around you
I'd
that you
probably
enjoy.
take.
So
be-
the
That's
radio
in the
station.
Bible, I think.
Yeah.
In the back.
What was the Line 6 multi-effect thing where they threw all the 4 series in the box together? The
M9.
M9. I would take that.
Yeah, that's a solid choice.
Yeah.
All right. That's a great question, Tommy. Thanks for that. And then Peter Hernandez, why do many pedals support stereo? Is there any way to get good use out of it with only one amp? So if we look down at the board cam here, this is stereo. That's the only thing I have stereo. A lot of times I have, it just depends. And obviously this thing has 7,000 jacks. There's definitely stereo since. So I run mono all the time. I don't run stereo. I find it completely pointless for me. I make jokes about it all the time, but you do you. If you run stereo, I have just never found any advantage to stereo, especially studio work. It's always mono. We're not getting into that, but yeah, I just play mono. All you do is you just plug through the pedal on the left jacks. They usually have an M, or it'll say mono. And the pedal operates in full mono at that point. So a stereo pedal is only stereo if you're using it stereo. If you're going through with one pass, just use the left jacks. Yeah.
It's freaking deep.
Yeah, it's not so obvious to
Yeah.
a lot of new people. That's a
Yeah.
really great question. I remember the first experiences. It would have been the DL4. I remember thinking like, what? Because what is
Right.
stereo? When I was the band, I was like ridiculous. I didn't know what that meant. I'd never really seen anybody run stereo. So
That's
I knew
cool.
the Edge. I had heard stuff about stereo, but how do you do that? I don't
Stereo
know.
pedals, if you're using them, like, are really fun for like synthesizers, especially things like that are really
Yeah.
great. I like trying to find stereo pedals. They're really cool. I think the only way I would run a stereo rig is if I had a Kemper, actually, because I've been there.
It's
I
too
tried
hard.
it,
It's
and
so
it
hard.
hurts and it's painful.
It's minimal reward for so much effort. That's why
Yeah.
I don't care. I think if I played in a straight up, we've done some stuff where like ambient rock, things
Yeah.
like Hammock or Explosions in the Sky, All the Bright Lights. I would probably run a stereo rig on purpose, a 3-piece. If I was in a
Sure.
3-piece ambient rock band, I'd run
Yeah.
a stereo.
It's
But
almost-
honestly, at that point, I'd probably just run like Kempers.
Yeah. It's easier to just have another guitar player.
Absolutely.
Than to
yeah.
run
I'd rather
stereo.
pay the money than hook up the cables.
And once you have another guitar player, like they're not going to put you in stereo.
That's the other thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I for about a month in my life, I ran a left, right, center.
Yeah.
Stupidest thing I ever did. Your
Yeah.
dad had
my
a rig
dad
like
had
that
a,
too.
My dad had a wet, dry, wet mix. So it was like, I still to this day, it sounded awesome in his bedroom.
But in the mix, they used one amp.
Well, they were
Mono.
also they were playing like a dive bar, and then one of our employees was playing with him, and he was using like a quilter, and it sounded awesome. And then my dad, I think, kind of gave up a little.
All right. You want to jam us out? Are we want to wrap? I feel like we've covered everything. Check out Tone Junkie's website. We gave away $1 million of profiles
Yeah,
and
that's
10 packs of Ernie ball strings.
Historic stuff.
Again, these tools down to the Kemper camera, we'll call it Kemper Cam, they're really useful. Like, to me, it is a tool. Treat it like a tool. There is no best. There is no better. I right now would never replace, that's kind of my takeaway. I'd never replace my amps. Nobody's asking me to do that. Just know that. You
Yeah.
can do what you want to do. I think the world forgets. No one's asking for a fight here.
No,
A lot of this digital gear. These companies aren't coming out asking for a boxing match. They're just saying, we make a good tool.
I would watch though like a celebrity boxing match. With like,
over digital
Yeah.
versus
yeah,
analog.
for real. Yeah.
All right. You lead it out, Just do you.
Okay. Let's
What amp you going to play? Profile.
here's a profile of an amp that I really like that I don't hear people talk about much. It is a 65 AC50. And it's one of those mashups in history that I think went so right. Nobody famous played it, and nobody talks about it. But the people at Vox, I think, realized, the Plexi, people are into that. 4 inputs,
It's a rare amp.
2 volume. Yeah. They had 3 versions of them. And they said, let's take an AC30 and put like EL34s in it.
Did the Beatles play the 50s ladder career?
I think they did at
I
one
think-
point. There was
yeah.
some, yeah.
Again, there's some of the situation. It's that crossover of like actually plugging mics into some of these earlier amps too. A lot of wattage. They needed a lot of wattage.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play AC15,
There you go.
a 66.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Cool.
don't forget to
I'm in
mute your
A, by the way.
mics.
I should mute my mic now. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful Wednesday.